It's martini time. You know, just when I was mixing this martini up, in this beautiful little glass martini mixer that my sister-in-law gave me, I really felt like I was an alchemist. You mix the gin and the vermouth together, and you know, once you mix them together, you can't separate it, and you stir it, and then you pour it, you see, and you plop an olive in it, plop, and there you go, alchemy. And so I hope these talks are alchemical mixtures, so to speak. I just named this talk Rtfm. Read the friggin' manual. You remember that? The F can go several ways. And I just spent this afternoon with my wife putting together a drawing board that comes in 1 million parts from China, and you have to Rtfm and hope all the parts are in there, and usually they are. But that's what we were doing this afternoon, and I got to thinking, you know, Rtfm. The manual that I have been reading since, well, most all my life, basically, but intensely since 2005, is what I would call a Buddha Dharma Manual. This is the instructions that the Buddha left on how to understand, how to deconstruct your own mind and then put it back together again, basically. Just like when we were kids, we liked to take clocks apart or anything apart and put them back together again. Well, that's what Buddha Dharma is. Buddha Dharma is a manual that tells you how your mind operates and how to work on it while you're in it. You see, psychology, Western psychology, works on the mind from the outside. So you have the different theories defining the mind and the personalities and all that, and you go to a therapist and like a mechanic, and he works on you, or the psychiatrist gives you drugs, and the drugs work on you, but they're all working on you as an object. But Buddha Dharma is working on your mind from the inside, not from the outside. So this is a practice that you really have to, have a martini in order to want to do it, because you encounter things in there, like in a labyrinth, you encounter minotaurs in there that we try to avoid. But when you read the Rtfm Buddha Dharma Manual, you can't stop doing it because it makes you happy, it makes you creative, it brings peace to you and the world, and you stop asking, you stop becoming a seeker, and you become a creator. Big difference. And I wanted to mention that if I were going to give you a Buddha Dharma Manual to read, I would suggest the talks by Rodney Smith at seattleinsight.org. Rodney Smith has been giving talks at the Seattle, and he just retired. He's a Seattle Insight meditation teacher, and he's been giving the best talks on Buddha Dharma that I have ever run into, and they're all online. And he's just retired. I think he's been there for 25 years, and before that he was directors of a hospice. And before that he was a monk in Thailand for 6 or 7 years. So he has spent his whole life in this practice and in the teaching of Buddha Dharma. And I really recommend you tuning into his talks because they're about our everyday mind in the context of trying to understand it and break through our obstacles. So we worked on the manual this afternoon, and I don't have anything else to say. I think I started I know I started being intensely curious and being intensely or having the intention to practice Buddha Dharma in 2005. I had, well, let me give you a little background. By the decades, you see, I've been here for 8 decades, so I look at my life in decades. In the 60s, I was intensely interested in philosophy and Western psychology and Western religion. And then in the 70s, I became involved in guru yoga, with yoga and following a couple of gurus. And then in the 80s, I was in Blackstone, and all I was trying to do was get out of Blackstone until finally, and I couldn't escape. And as soon as this was an important point. As soon as I stopped looking for where my life should be, which was outside of Blackstone, something turned, and I accepted that I was here. And immediately I got a job with the Courier Record, and I began to write about Blackstone for 8 years. And then after that, in the 90s, I gave up the Buddha Dharma, and I just ran a photography studio. And I did what I call practicing Southside Virginia. I didn't drink martinis, I drank scotch. Barbecue, had the best steaks and the biggest TV, and I worked during the day. And basically, I didn't have any curiosity. But then in 2005, I took my daughter up to Yogaville for an adjustment, and I got adjusted. Something kicked, something turned, and I felt something stirring, and it was the Dharma. And the Dharma basically is your life's living kick, your life's living movement, not your mind's thinking about what life should be or why it's not what it is, but your actual life, the truth of your life, which includes everything. Not just head, but heart and mind, the whole thing, the whole catastrophe. And that I suddenly began to have this desire, intention to meditate every morning, and I started writing again, and I started reading everything I could on Buddhism, meditation, insight meditation, and I've opened up a yoga center, and I tried to teach yoga here in Blackstone, but I failed at many things, and that was one of them. But anyway, this intention to explore the unknown of myself never ended. I mean, that was every day. And so writing and Facebook came along, or blog, and Facebook, and now I'm here. And I've been reading Rtfm. Basically, that's all I do. And once you get a hold of this Shakti, this energy, that's all you want to do, because it frees you. It turns your life into a dance. It turns the landfill into a garden. It's alchemy. It turns the base metal of everyday mind into gold. And you find gold everywhere. One of the metaphors that really helped me write articles for the Courier Record was a book called Finding Diamonds in Your Backyard. So the stories I wrote was finding diamonds in the backyard of Southside Virginia. You'll find these stories on my Facebook page called Blackstone Chronicles. And so they were stories written from 1987 to 94. And but I think the point I wanted to make tonight was that I have no idea how you can awaken this intention to turn within instead of seeking satisfaction without. There is a turning. Maybe some of you have already turned. Maybe some of you know there is something like that. Maybe it's if you're listening to this, you probably have. Because there is it's like we go out into the world seeking form, seeking satisfaction in form as far as we can, and then it hits the hits the shore of the pond and it comes back. And when it starts coming back, we realize that we're just going in circles, that there is no satisfaction in form. Well, except in a martini, but if you know what I mean. But so I think when we realize that there is no permanent satisfaction by chasing products and jobs and relationships in the future, that there is no satisfaction in the future, something turns and we begin to look in the present, which is where our mind is. So Buddha Dharma is about looking into our present mind as it is working. So you're working on a living organism, like a doctor is working on a living body, or an electrician is working on a circuit without unplugging it. It's live, you see. So you're working on yourself as you're live, not dead, pinned to the wall like in psychology. In Western science, what you're working on is something that's dead. It's all abstracted into theories and everything, but you're not doing anything, you see. But this is, you do it yourself. That you rely on your own experience. You begin to cut away all of your crutches and belief systems and everything you cling to in order to avoid who you are, in order to avoid being present in life, you see. So there has to be a turning point. And when that turning point, nobody can say where it is. It's kind of like when the fruit falls off the tree. You can't tell when the fruit is going to fall, but it's going to fall. So may the fruit fall in your life, and may you, Rtfm, and see, this is what I'm afraid of in this live. That's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow.